Hey, have you ever heard of this game called Sonic Adventure? I personally love this game, but regardless of what you think about it, you have to admit it's an extremely ambitious game. Maybe a little too ambitious for its own good at times. After Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Takashi Iizuka reportedly wanted to develop a Sonic RPG as the next major title. Although eventually the project would take shape as a platformer, this desire to make an RPG could be seen in the final product's heavy emphasis on story. I believe one remnant of this initial RPG inspiration can be seen in the many human NPCs you can talk to throughout the game. There's honestly a surprising amount of dialogue written for these characters. I feel like the vast majority of people who play this game won't even bother talking to any of them, and most of the people who do will probably only talk to a handful of them once or twice. But most of these NPCs have new lines after basically every single stage and story event. There are even entire subplots that go on during the background of the main game, some of which deal with some pretty strange subject matter like gambling addiction and infidelity. That's why I decided to create a new speedrun category, NPC%. In addition to beating the game like normal, you also have to talk to every single person every time their dialogue updates. The dialogue isn't all just fluff. Some of it is actually semi-useful in that it can point you in the right direction. Hey, I saw the coolest pair of shoes. Supposed to make you feel lighter than air, but they're hidden in a secret spot. They'd be perfect for you, Sonic, if you can find them. What the fuck, dude? Just tell me where they are. Kids love to go on little treasure hunts. Once my son found a weird pair of shoes in the sewer. I told him to put them back and he ran outside. Ah, enlightening. So sure, they give hints, but here's the thing. If you get stuck in Sonic Adventure, you're not gonna walk around talking to the NPCs hoping for esoteric clues. You're just gonna go touch the dedicated hint orb that will tell you exactly where to go. So the NPCs literally exist purely for flavor. They're all completely optional, which is why I absolutely love these guys. They go a long way towards making Station Square feel like a real city. So yeah, I just wanted to make a video talking about some of my favorites. What, you got a problem with that? There actually aren't that many people total. In fact, in pre-release screenshots, you can actually see there were a lot more NPCs walking around. Presumably they had to be cut for hardware-related limitations. Or maybe they just didn't want to write dialogue for all these different people. We can't do anything without sponsors. If our sponsors quit, we're done. What are you, a fucking YouTuber? You about to say something like, today's video is sponsored by NordVPN. Let's say hypothetically you live in a certain country and your favorite YouTuber uploads a video, but it's region blocked, even though they didn't do anything wrong, except use a bunch of copyrighted material. Well, using NordVPN you can change your location and boom, problem solved. I mean listen, you don't want to be one of those guys who pays for Netflix and then never even checks out the selections they have for other countries. You're basically voluntarily scamming yourself at that point. Trust me, I've seen the way the internet is heading and you're gonna have to start using a VPN eventually, so you might as well start now and use promo code Cybershell so I can get some money out of it. You get 68% off a 2-year plan and 4 months for free as a limited time holiday deal, and also a 30-day money-back guarantee. Again, it's nordvpn.com/Cybershell. I mean, it's just my username, so it should be easy to remember, right? Also, there's a link in the description. But you wanna know the real reason I use NordVPN? Because it's the spiky blue one. Also, the logo reminds me of Ice Cap Zone. Okay, back to the video. Hey, it's Sonic. Is it true you saved the entire world? What's happening with Angel Island? Something kind of interesting about this kid's dialogue is that in the early English script found in the E3 trial version, he explicitly makes reference to both the events of Sonic 3 and Knuckles and Sonic CD. For whatever reason, they decided to remove the Little Planet reference during localization, which is kind of odd. There's this guy who works at the train station who's constantly miserable, which is actually foreshadowing how the train workers go on strike later, which is a cute little in-universe reason for them to temporarily disable the train for story purposes. People around town will even comment on it, and there's some fun dialogue if you talk to the workers on strike as Gamma. This one guy is fucking stoked he doesn't have to go to work. Eventually they work things out and this dude doesn't seem to hate his life so much, which is nice. The other guy seems pretty bummed though. Another helpful NPC is the newsstand lady, who usually has a newspaper commenting on what's happened recently or giving hints about what to do next. You can even find her outside the newsstand on occasion. I hate sunsets. I hate the stars. What the fuck is this guy's problem? Did you find what you're looking for? I found myself by inquiring within.
Froggy, where are you?
One of the more well-known NPCs in the game is this kid, Mr. Know-It-All. He provides gameplay tips and is responsible for this infamous line. Oh, and don't worry if the view suddenly changes. It does that sometimes. Great. He also provides the in-universe explanation as to why Big isn't allowed to fish at the Coastin' Station Square. Apparently the waters here are protected as part of a preserve. That's another aspect I love about these NPCs. They offer canonical explanations for the weirdest shit. Hey, why hasn't anybody moved this stone? Well, apparently the authorities are running an investigation into it, and it's so creepy looking that nobody wants to touch it. Incredible stuff. Like, the reason Gamma has to put the Windstone in this pedestal even after Sonic and Tails unlocked it is because this guy moved the stone out of the cave. He even has dialogue if you talk to him with the stone. Similarly, as Sonic or Tails, this guy claims to have found the stone and will have altered dialogue if you talk to him with it, and even unique dialogue if you come to him later holding the Ice Stone. To protect our rights as workers, we're thinking about going on strike. But it's a secret. I take pride in being able to keep my mouth shut. I can keep a secret no matter what. So there's this poor kid whose mom is clearly addicted to gambling. I go to the casino every night. You can find the kid crying outside the casino alone at night. The next day you can find her denying it, much to the dismay of her son. Later you can find her going there again. Oh no, as soon as the sun sets I just automatically head this way. It's not my fault, my feet have a mind of their own. Later you can find her lamenting her gambling losses. Okay, that's it, I swear, I'm never going in that casino again. How many times have I said that before? My mom has been pretty sad since yesterday. I'm pretty blue too. Maybe this subplot will end with her finally learning to value her son over oh, never mind. But the subplot that always struck me as the strangest was this dude who was cheating on these two girls. Even other NPCs will comment on it. What do you think I should say? I saw your boyfriend with another girl, perhaps? No, I can't just say that. Can I? Eventually he ends up getting caught, which leads to this amusing scene by the poolside. Can you believe it? He was seeing another girl. I can't believe this. I don't understand why you two are so angry. Try to relax, okay? The absolute fucking lad. I mean, typically you'd expect this shit to have a happy ending of some sort because it's a kid's game, but some of these conversations are weirdly bleak. Don't expect too much. If you've got high expectations, you'll just be that much more disappointed. It's not that I thought you were so great. I was just so lonely. I could not stand being alone. Jesus. My favorite subplot that develops over the course of the game has got to be this shy burger girl. She's got a crush on the guy who works at the burger shop, and over the course of the game she slowly manages to approach him, eventually managing to work her way inside the burger shop. Although she's still too shy to say anything to him, she just ends up eating a burger and leaving. I always thought this was a fun subplot to check in on over the course of the game. There's even a cute little resolution where she ends up getting a job working there. Although some subplots have less optimistic endings, like the search expedition ends up getting cancelled. These guys were specifically sent into the jungle to look for the ruins, and they couldn't find them, so now they're packing up and going home. Let me reiterate that, they couldn't find the ruins in the jungle. Maybe these guys don't deserve a happy ending. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of interesting character-specific dialogue. Like for example, you find a lot of these guys seem to want to date Amy. I've heard more than enough about how great Sonic is. Shut the fuck up. Using Big, you can find out the dude who owns this building is scared of frogs. That's it, I'm telling you. I don't know anything about any creature that ribbits and hops. My favorite is talking to people as Gamma. Sometimes people are absolutely terrified of you, sometimes they just think you're wearing a costume, and some of them just don't seem to give a fuck either way. There's some pretty funny stuff. One thing I always loved as a kid is finding the other player characters who sometimes showed up in the adventure fields. Eggman! No, Sonic, that's Big. I like how you can find the sleeping, gassed Sonic and Tails just sitting outside of Casinopolis as Knuckles. Sonic and Tails are taking a snooze. Those guys are good friends, aren't they? Sure, kid.
Didn't I see a green-colored stone somewhere?
Yeah, it's called the Master Emerald, dude. I think protecting it is supposed to be your job. Obviously, most of the NPCs are around Station Square. However, there are a few explorers in the Mystic Ruins who have some amusing dialogue. What's with the big gusts of wind inside that cave? Guess I'll call it Windy Cave. 10,000 IQ over here. That's Tails' house on top of the hill. Yeah, I know. I found a Chow garden in the Mystic Ruins. It's on the other side of this cave. But don't tell anybody else, okay? Why not? What are you doing to those Chow? Hey, I got a letter from my folks. Great. They want me to stop acting so childish and come home. Parents just don't get it. I'm gonna do what I want. See, this guy gets it. Also, some of their dialogue helps elucidate the fact that this gigantic mountain is actually Angel Island, which might seem obvious to some, but I've seen other people confused about this in the past. The last place where you can get some interesting dialogue from NPCs is the Echidna City in the Tikal flashbacks. Most of them are just walking around and use the same script for all stories, however there are a few stationary Echidna which have dialogue that change depending on the character, which reveals a little more background info on the tribe and Tikal's grandmother, which is neat. Sometimes the flashback will put you in front of the altar, so you actually have to deliberately turn around and go into the city to hear this. Some of the shit these Echidnas say is weird as hell. Is this life a dream, or is it reality? I think, therefore I am. I like fighting. Actually, I love fighting. I've never been scared of anything my whole life. Is there anyone or anything capable of making me feel scared? Some of the dialogue in this game is pretty hard to see under normal circumstances. Like after the missile launch cutscene as Tails, the game immediately puts you in the next action stage. You have to manually quit out of the stage in order to see this lovely dialogue from the people of Station Square terrified for their lives. A huge missile's heading for Station Square. We're all gonna die. If I'm gonna die, I might as well spend all the money I've been saving. Whoops, I already spent it all. I'm cleaned out. Tails, you gotta save Station Square. No thanks. There's even dialogue in Station Square in Supersonic's story, even though there's literally no reason to go there. There's some subtle foreshadowing by the hotel manager talking about how he expects the place to fill up soon. Also this guy. My wonderful building will last forever. Funny enough, this walk around hub areas and talk to humans formula only makes an appearance in 3 Sonic games total. Sonic Adventure, Sonic 06, and Sonic Unleashed. It's super weird because I think these later 2 games both offer perfect examples of how to do it right and wrong. Maybe it's just because this shit was so low poly, but I really didn't mind the humans in Sonic Adventure. However, in 06 it was kinda weird having the more realistic humans next to these cartoon animal characters. They just didn't mesh that well, which could have been fine if they were just a background element, but they decided to make Sonic's relationship with the human character one of the central elements of the game. But I think the more Pixar-esque, exaggerated style of Unleashed worked fine. It also didn't have any super important human characters, the most we got was Professor Pickle. The human characters are really just there to help flesh out the setting and give some flavor to the world. When it comes to funny dialogue from these 2 games, honestly they both deserve their own individual deep dives. There's a lot to unpack. 06 may have given us Luppy Luppy, but it also gave us Sonic Man. When it comes to Sonic interacting with humans as a central premise, the other 2 main pieces of media that come to mind are Sonic X and the Sonic movie. Sonic X was originally going to take place in a world populated with animal characters as seen in the pilot, but at some point they decided to change the premise to Sonic and friends getting teleported to Earth. Over the years, I've seen a lot of people say they wish we got a series like the one shown in the pilot, but I think that's just mostly because they wanted a series without Chris Thorndike. The movie was another take on the Sonic comes to Earth premise, but I think it was handled a lot better. The idea of Sonic being a freaky alien who has to live in hiding was a lot better realized than in Sonic X. I think the movie is proof you can do a good Sonic and humans storyline if you want to. It's all about execution. So, what the hell happened to the humans in Sonic games? They haven't been seen since Unleashed. If Forces and the IDW comic are anything to go by, humans have been completely phased out in favor of these Sonic Worldians. I'm not saying humans are necessary for a good Sonic story or anything, I just don't see why they can't coexist. I'll never understand why they binned the humans immediately after they finally got it right in Unleashed. And even if you're not a fan of the human characters, that's totally fine, but I mean, you can never truly remove humans from the series because, you know, Eggman is a fucking human. Plus, humans are a pretty important part of Shadow's backstory. According to the head of Sonic Team, Takashi Iizuka, the Sonic series takes place across 2 worlds, although various people at Sega have given differing interpretations as to what exactly that means, like 2 planets or just 2 societies or what. My absolute favorite example of how weird Sega is with mandates about Sonic is their current stance on money, as in, it doesn't exist. Ian Flynn, lead writer of the IDW comic, explained in an episode of his podcast, The Bumblecast, that they were explicitly told not to use money of any kind in the comic. This was also confirmed by Tyson Hess on Twitter, who was specifically told not to use money of any kind in the YouTube shorts. He also confirmed this even extends to the idea of using rings as currency. There are so many strange things about this decision from Sonic Team. I mean, for starters, money has been shown to exist numerous times throughout the series. One of the most iconic reoccurring staples of the series is the casino stages, which is kind of predicated on the idea of money existing, right? And on top of that, there's literally a character who's obsessed with money, like that's his main personality gimmick. As if this mandate wasn't weird enough, they don't even bother following it in the two most recent games that have come out. So what gives? They just arbitrarily decide when you are and aren't allowed to use money? There can be money in the games, but not in the comics or shows? Or maybe Vector still loves money, even though it doesn't exist in his world. He just really likes the idea of it. Honestly, it's not like the idea of money is absolutely crucial to the ability to tell a good Sonic story either. It's just I completely fail to understand the reasoning behind it. Like, why? What's the point? I mean, think about it. Try to imagine a world with no money. You can't. It's impossible. I know this might sound crazy, but Sega needs to hire a Sonic fact checker to make sure this kind of thing doesn't happen. Just some kind of huge Sonic nerd who could make sure things are consistent, you know? And that someone should be me. And the salary should be $1 million a year. Sorry, I kind of veered off into a tangent at the end there, but nobody would have watched this video if it was called A Treatise on Humans and World Building in Sonic the Hedgehog, Show Me the Money. A super special thanks to my patient patrons for putting up with all my bullshit.